obviously for all of Sacramento, and then on top of that, you get Dusty throwing out the first pitch, and Steve Sachs doing the game, and so, it's good for us too to visit affiliates and especially for the guys that haven't been here for a long time, like myself, Matt Williams, some of the new coaches and so forth, and to see what the organization's all about. Kyle Haynes has been fantastic with us, all the people in development during spring training. We feel like we've gotten along really well and gotten together, but to be able to come here and do this it's a good feeling.
Just what do you know about, just your years in baseball here and how long Sacramento's been around as a AAA market?
Well, I was with the A's here one time, so it looks a little different now than it did back then. But I'm very familiar with how, Sacramento supports baseball, and it always felt like, at least when I was with the A's, there's kind of a line here between A's and Giants. Obviously, we're a little more Giants here now, especially since the team's here, but just a great baseball team.
There's Giants sent out an email and some social media about people to come to the game Tuesday because it could be Pablo Sandoval's farewell in San Francisco. I'm not going to get you to say if it is or isn't. Of course, if you want to, I'd let you. But if it is, what would you take from Pablo Sandoval's story?
So we're talking hypothetical.
Hypothetical,
yeah. Well, look, I mean, the effect that he's had here this spring, he gets the biggest ovation of anybody. He pops his head out of the dugout, and I've actually had him pinch run a couple times just to get an ovation. So, being on the other side of watching him through his career here, you get it once you're on the same team with him and see the response that the fans have for him. So it's one of the beloved guys that has ever been in this organization, and once you're around him some too, you understand that.
I know you obviously played in this organization, you grew up around it. In 3 or 4 days, you're going to be wearing the orange and black in a real game for the first time in a long time. There's got to be some kind of emotion for you in that regard, I would think.
For sure, and look, I mean, I'm glad we had spring training to kind of get used to it. But then on top of that, go back to San Diego to open up too. So there are a lot of things that kind of come in full circle. But to be able to put this uniform on and not to minimize for a second my days with Oakland, because I loved my days with Oakland, and to grow up in the Bay Area and be able to manage both these teams, it's very surreal. So that first game, in the regular season will be a special one for me.
How much have you gotten to know, all the players that are not going to be with you on opening day, but are going to maybe be with you during the season, and getting to really know the organization this spring?
As much as you can. So, my first day here, when the whole group was together, the rhetoric was, look, you go through 45, 50 guys a year, so if anybody's in this room today, you got a chance to be here. And that's, it's very important that they get that message and know that. So, whether it's being ready and, certainly the last cuts will be the hardest ones, but they have to know that you have to stay ready because you're going to be part of this at some point in time. And the way our roster is constructed, it's going to take an army to win. So these guys have to know that there's a good chance they're going to be part of it too, and that was kind of the message.
Bob, is there a challenge on your end when you come into a situation and all of a sudden you add some really big pieces later in the spring? Is there a challenge that comes in on your end to try to get them acclimated and all that?
Well, yeah, but I'll take that over the alternative. So we've had some guy, Blake threw today 3 innings at Papago and looked good. So, we're trying to get him ready for a potential start. We're not sure which at this point. And Matt is really just kind of fit in very quickly and swung the bat well and played defense like he normally does. So I'll take those challenges over the alternative.
Obviously, things can change in 6 months in baseball. They can change in 6 weeks or 6 days. But on this day, looking at Thursday, what are 1 or 2 things about which you're the most confident in this team, and the 1 or 2 things that give you a little pause?
Well, there's no pause. It's just you just want to get to the finish line healthy, and we've had some issues, a little bit with some of our pitchers leading up to this. So you want to get there healthy. I like our roster, and certainly been supported here recently by some of these signings. You look at the offseason and really taking care of every deficiency that we've talked about. So, and with a lot of noise around it too. So you really got to give Farhan credit for being patient and bringing in the guys that we really needed here. So in that respect, I love what's going to look like our 26-man roster.
Obviously, Logan's going to throw a lot of innings for you, but do you have sort of a sense of how you're going to manage innings like with Jordan Hicks and Kyle Harrison, who didn't necessarily have a lot of innings left?
Not yet. I know that we're probably, especially early in the season, going to have some guys in the bullpen. They're going to give us more than an inning. So that's kind of what we're talking about at this point, leading up to the final cuts going to the season. But it's an exciting group.
You mentioned Dusty throwing out first pitch meets lot of the city. I'm just curious, with his role, maybe it hasn't happened quite yet, but what sort of resource that is for you along the way as well?
Oh, it's been huge already, and I go way back.
Right.
Dusty was with the Giants when I was there as a coach. I think it was his first year as a coach. So he's been a really important person in my career, and always a sounding board, even when we were managing against each other. Some of the challenges that I've had, he was kind of my first call a lot of times. So to be able to have him here as a resource, and he's already made an impact with our coaching staff and certainly the front office as well. So I don't think you can find a better guy, especially with the Bay Area ties and his history in San Francisco. It's been fantastic.